stopped at Tim Hortons this morning. I try not to stop every day, but when I do stop, I love their coffee in the morning, and so I get the biggest one they have, which is the extra large dark roast with 2 milk. And Matt just arrived at work and he brought me coffee. It's gonna be a really good day. Oh, happy Friday, stitching friends. Hello, crafty friends. My name is Caroline. Welcome back. It is Friday, February 23rd, 2024, and I'm recording here in London, Ontario, Canada. Today is a floss tube vlog style video update, and also day day 10 on our stitching Salentine, which is our stitch along for Jacob's chart with love, a Salentine celebration. More on that in a minute. Yeah. Oh, let's just talk about it now. Let's get it over with. I did not, you know, it's one of those times where, well, it happens to us all, where we make a simple mistake and it just throws everything off. So this was yesterday's stitching. This was day 9 stitching. I did 230 stitches. I'm right on track. I took the picture to post on Instagram last night, and as soon as I looked at the photo as I was posting it on Instagram, I realized that I'd made an error in my heart here, and it's not fudgeable. I have to rip it out. So let me bring you in close so that you can see. And as soon as I do that, I'm sure you can tell that something is a little amiss in this area here, right? Well, each of these lines that goes up should be 5 stitches long. And I have one in here that's only 4. And that one missing stitch, of course, everything else is based on. And so the rest of this is all off by 1 stitch. So I have to rip it all out and I have to restitch it. So it's okay. It's all right. These things happen. They happen to us all. It's just really annoying because I was right on track, and it's a busy day. It's a busy weekend. And I don't have time for this kind of stuff. However, I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I'm going to have a little extra time. So if I don't manage to get an additional 230 stitches done today after I fix that, that's okay. I'll just push it forward into next week, and I'll catch up at some point next week. So it's all good. Now, let's turn this frown into upside down. I found this in my, I was going through a little box at home of crafty knickknacks and bits and bobs and things. You know how these things do. They migrate and find little homes and little containers and whatnot, because a lot of our supplies are small, right? And I'd forgotten all about this, and I found my Luna needle minder. Do you guys, those of you who have been here for a while, do you remember these? I had these made by a woman in the States, and I believe her name was Allison, and she used to make and sell these on Etsy, and she doesn't do it anymore. And we worked together on a little collaboration where she made some of these, and I sold them along with, there were some bags and some raccoon needle minders as well. And I, of course, had to save one for myself. So there might still be some of you out there who are watching. This would have been shortly after we got Luna, so maybe three years ago. And it says, hello, crafty friends. Yeah. So I was happy. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but actually when I first found it, I was distraught because her little leg had come off. It had, and I had not put it in this bin. So I think that a very helpful family member had probably tossed it in there and the leg cracked. But fortunately it was still there right beside the remainder of the thing. So I just had my husband fix it for me. But look, you can tell right away it's Luna with her little beauty mark on her face there. Yeah. So I've brought it safely with me here to the workshop. I actually have a collection of needle minders on my my metal shelving units out in the other room. And so this is now no longer going to be used as a needle minder. I am going to be putting it up there so that I can look at it up there with the rest of my collection. Okay, so I need to go downstairs and do some packing and shipping today. So I'm going to go and do that for the next couple of hours. And then I'll check back in a few hours. Just realized I've come down here and I'm ready to get stuck in and realize that I left my coffee upstairs. I'm not going back upstairs to get it. It'll keep. But all, what is it? Coffee, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. It's a bit of a case of that this morning, I think. Coffee everywhere. Okay, it's lunchtime. So I'm gonna take 10 minutes of my lunch break, and I'm gonna frog this mis-stitched Valentine heart. Let's do it. Okay, frogging is done. But as you can see, pretty typical, left with some dark floss residue. So a little tip or trick for you, if you've never seen this, I've got some tape. And it has been rolled backwards on my fingers, so the sticky side is out. And I just do that gently, and it lifts away. So it should look like new when I'm all done. Better. And you can just rough up the linen a little bit, and those holes will disappear. See? And then it's like it never happened. Then I just restitch. Easy peasy. So it is now 3:30 in the afternoon, and I have been packing and shipping downstairs with Julie, and our internet has gone down. So that happens here sometimes, and usually it's an outage for a very short period of time. We're in a real, the area that we're in, there's only one option for internet, and so it can sometimes be a little spotty, but not usually. Usually it's pretty darn good. But I know when they are when they've redone the road, I believe that they are going to be upgrading something fiber something. Canadian internet, Canadian phone services. We could have a whole discussion about that, and monopolies and so on and so forth, but you know, let's keep it stitchy. I'm so excited about something. So I wanted to, do you remember on, when was it? Was it Tuesday? And I mentioned, remember I found my scroll rods? Look, I still haven't removed the fabric from them. I found these scroll rods that had my Helsingland blommer that I had just cut off. And so they're empty, right? I have empty scroll rods. And I thought, okay, well, I know I have some projects that need scroll rods that are already in progress. So maybe not putting a new project on it, but digging one out from the past and putting it on the scroll rods. And here in my office, directly across from where I sit, I'm always staring at this piece, which is modern folk embroidery, and it's called Rules of Life. And I love this piece, and it's kind of a special design for me that Jacob did, because it was the first time. Was it the first time or the second time? I think it was. No, it wasn't the first time, because that was Mary Harry. So it was one of the first times. My memory is a little bit shaky, but it was one of the first times that Jacob used Roxy floss for designing. And Ellen stitched the shop model. So this is not technically mine. Just like the honey thief, Ellen stitched that. Ellen stitched this, but she did stitch this for me. I'm not sure she wants it back, but if I stitched this, I would want it back. And when she started hers, I, as I do, started my own. Well, hers is done. You know where this is going, right? Mine is not. So here's mine. Oops. So there you can see, right? It's hard to show these both at the same time. So yeah, that's not gonna work, is it? Okay, so here's Ellen's, here's mine. So I knew that Ellen was gonna be stitching that on hers on a 36 count linen, so I chose a 28 count. And also, what's very special about my project is that it's one of the first pieces of linen that Carrie ever tried dyeing linen with. This was, she'd already been dyeing floss for a while, and then she decided to give linen a try, and this was one of her first few pieces of linen. Totally, you know, one of a kind, but I love it, and so it's meaningful to me, and I want to finish this. However, you know, because I'm not sure that Ellen wants this back, and do I really want two exactly the same pieces? Well, no, I'd like them to be a little different. And then that got me started, I started thinking, this project, and we heard this all the time, Jacob used the old-fashioned version of an S. And a lot of people were writing in and saying, why does it have an F? And why does it say Befto or Alms? So on and so forth. So Jacob actually has a video up on his channel about old-fashioned lettering. It's well worth a watch. I will try to find it and put a link in the description box below if you'd like to go and watch it, because there's another piece that we sell here. All are equal in depth, and the U is a V. And so that as well, some stitchers have thought that there was a spelling mistake in the chart. It's just an old-fashioned font, and Jacob loves he loves them, and he uses them frequently. And so I contacted Jacob yesterday, and I said, hey, what would you think about recharting that verse with the modern S so that I can stitch my version with modern typeface, and then we'll have two different versions of it. And so those of you who maybe loved the chart but just couldn't get past the typeface, it might persuade you that this is something that you would also love to stitch with me. So, or maybe like me, you bought this a couple of years ago, and you know, you haven't finished yours either, and you weren't quite sure what you were gonna do. Maybe, I know some people said, I'm just gonna change it and make the regular S, but you know, when it actually comes down to it and you have to rechart the lettering and move things around a little bit, sometimes we put those, okay, maybe that's me. I put those things off. So Jacob has done it. He did it in like 5 minutes, and he emailed it to me last night. So if you already own this chart, if you purchased it from Evertotes and you'd like the modern S version of the phrase, please email me and I will send you that PDF via email. I am going to be checking my emails sporadically next week, maybe a couple times throughout the week, but if I don't get back to you until the beginning of March, I'm sure you'll understand. I am going to be on vacation next week, but I do have it available. If you purchased it via PDF from Jacob, from Jacob's shop, which is www.modernfolkembroidery.com, he is going to have that available as a free PDF download on his website. So what that means is that I can bring this piece back, and it's time to finish it. So because this was one of the original things that we were selling with Carrie's floss, these flosses are still in our regular collection, but of course the dye lots are completely different. Then, unfortunately, I know right where my floss is because it's all old floss. But we still have these flosses as new colors. They're still in the shop. The 3 colors are Vampish, which is a super, super, super rich, dark, dark, dark purpley black, Caramel, and Plum Shadow. So those are the 3 Roxy flosses that Jacob used to chart this. And in fact, the chart is so old that it's charted as Leo and Roxy Yarn Co. floss, because that was Carrie's first name when she was dying. So she's had 3 business names, Leo and Roxy Yarn Co. Then it was Leo and Roxy Floss Co. And as of January last year, it is Roxy Floss Co. and it's Roxy Floss Co. for good forever. So that's why you may sometimes see I have white floss tags, because, well, we've gone through a few iterations of floss tags as well. But it is Roxy Floss Co. now, forever and ever. Amen. So yeah, Modern Folk Embroidery, rule of life. And you know what? I love working on different counts of fabric when I'm stitching. And lately I've been doing a lot of 40 count. And so over the last week, I've brought in some more 28s and 32s. Like I started working on Flowers for You again, Jeanette Douglas. And also Carrie and I did a floss tube yesterday, if you caught it over on the other channel, which is Evertote Notes from the Workshop. I talked about starting Hands-on Design Doves, the second one. I have finished the first one, so I talked about starting the second one, and I wasn't going to start it until next week when I went away. I was editing the video last night and it was just sitting there right beside me and I just couldn't help it. So I started it. Made a mistake, but I ripped it out and fixed it. So I stitched that while I was editing the video, our floss tube that we did together yesterday. So I have the outline done. The little bower for the birds to sit in, that's done. Yeah. So anyways, what I was trying to say is that this is a 32 count linen and 2 strands of floss. It's just such nice plump coverage, right? It's just a totally different feel than 36 and 40 count linen. And I love switching it up. So, you know, bringing this back in to the mix, a beautiful 28 count fabric with Jacob's fantastic design, which then of course makes me want to pull out my In Friendship design by him. I'm doing it as a monochromatic piece with all blue, and that is also on 28 count linen. So it's really a pleasure because the color is just so vibrant, and I don't know, everything seems to move faster because the holes are a little bit bigger. Yeah, so I wish this fabric was, I don't know, it's really good. I'm sorry it's one of a kind. It's kind of in between, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe. Panettone is close, but Panettone has a little more green undertone. This doesn't seem to have any green undertone to it at all. So anyway, that is the plan. So I know that I'm gonna pack and take my lap frame with me next week because I'm taking a checked bag. I know I'm taking Q-snaps. I can use the Q-snaps with my lap frame. The question is, do I take a couple of pairs of scroll rods as well? I know, you guys, you probably think I'm bringing way too much stitching with me for the week, and I am, but I'm a creature of habit and I don't like being away from my stuff. So I find I'm always a little bit happier if I have a little more choice with me when I go away somewhere. I'm sure there are lots of you out there who understand and feel the same way. So having options, I might not touch 1 or 2 of the things that I bring, but I'm happier having them with me, if that makes sense. So, and I figure if I've got the room in my suitcase, why not? You know, scroll rods, they're not overly heavy or bulky. I'm gonna fit those in, no problem. So I'm bringing the lap frame anyways, might as well. Anyways, okay, so I'm not sure I'm gonna film anything else today, but if I don't, then I'll say goodbye now, and I'll see you early next week from a different location. Take care, everybody. Happy stitching, happy weekend. Oh, wait a second. I should tell you about the stitching Salentine, shouldn't I? So yeah, I finished ripping it out. I've cleaned up the linen. I haven't done any more stitching on it. It's just been too busy of a work day today. So I will post my update on Instagram tonight and throughout the rest of the weekend. And then I will catch up with you early next week. 230 stitches a day. So I'm working my way up from the bottom to the top. So I'm gonna do those triangles and then, you know, the border, and then I'll probably save the inside of the heart for the very end. So I'll work my way up and around and then inside. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Happy stitching.